So you're going to hear a lot of coverage saying Biden won the debates, and there were ways in which he won. He didn't wet himself. He didn't fall over, so that was good for him. And even if he tied, Trump seems to be behind in the polls, and if we can believe in the polls, that didn't help. But he couldn't have won that big because the press, you remember Roberto Duran, the boxer who got in the fight with Sugar Ray Leonard and said no mas, he gave up. He said no mas, no mas. Well, that's what the press is saying. No mas is cut one.
Very simple question. After what went down this evening, do you think Joe Biden should participate in a second or third debate?
Should the next two debates go on as scheduled?
I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if this is the last presidential debate.
Should there be other debates?
Are we really going to repeat this? Are we going to have another two of these?
I think we have to hear from the Presidential Commission on Debates tomorrow. We can't do two more of these.
So they didn't like what they saw. And the thing about this is there's the real debate, which I'm going to be talking about in a minute. I'm going to talk about what really happened. Then there's the reported debate, which, as you can guess, is a complete lie. It's just the press has ganged up to sell a complete lie. I said last night they were going to do it. You got tomorrow's news. If you were listening to our backstage, you got tomorrow's news today, which is now today's news today, when I said they're just going to take one comment that he made and take it completely out of context and also lie about what he actually said, which I'll show you in just a second. But there is the debate that people heard, right? There's the debate of substance and what was actually being said, which I think Trump won by a landslide. But there's also what people heard, which was just Trump interrupting continually, punching at Biden and punching him around. And I thought it was bad strategy twice. One, because it made him look like a bully. I mean, he is a bully, and that can be fine, but it just made him look, kind of bad. But it also didn't let Biden get tired. It didn't let Biden talk. And it's when he talks that Biden does really poorly. So by not letting him talk, Trump, I thought, made a strategic error. There's some people saying, well, his strategy was to get Biden to denounce the left, and he did that, and so maybe he estranged the left. Maybe he's playing three-dimensional chess. But I just think you have to take into account what people saw, and what people saw was just chaos. It was absolute chaos. And that hurts Trump if he's behind in the polls. And we'll see in the next couple of days as his ratings go down or up, with the ratings of whether people view him favorably or not. Right now, they're between 45 and 48, I think. So we'll see if they go down and up, and then we'll find out. But let's talk about what really happened, because that really does matter, too. The big anti-Trump moment was when Wallace, who sucked, he really did suck, asked for absolutely no reason whether Trump would condemn white supremacists who have had virtually no role in the violence convulsing the country. They've had none. The Proud Boys, which will be mentioned, they had a meeting in Portland. Like 10 guys showed up. So they have no role in the riots, the mostly peaceful riots that have torn this country apart. But for some reason, every 20 minutes, Trump has to denounce white supremacy. So here's the exchange.
Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared to
do
specifically
that,
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call him? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
white supremacists. Like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
All right. So he asks him, are you willing to condemn white supremacists? And he says, sure, I'm willing to do that. Which sounds to me like he's doing it. And they say, well, go ahead and do it then. I mean, what's he have to do? He's done it repeatedly throughout his administration. He has repeatedly condemned these people. And then he says, well, who do you want me? Who are we talking about? And Biden says the Proud Boys. Now, I'm not a fan of the Proud Boys. I think that they're very far right and even have some kind of some fascist tendencies. They do go out there and kind of look for trouble. I'm not a fan of them. Ann Coulter says they've protected her at various times, so good for them on that. And she does get attacked because the leftists are violent, vicious people who would attack a woman. So that's fine. But they're not white supremacists. They are an all-male group who welcome people of all color. They say so themselves. They welcome, so they're not white supremacists. And he says, echoing Wallace's language, and Wallace sucked, by the way. Did I mention that? He utterly sucked. Echoing Wallace's language, will you say to them to stand down? He says, I tell them to stand back and stand by. So that was a misstep. That was a misstep. But what does he have to do now? So he does denounce them, though. He says, sure, I'm willing to do that. And here's the report. Trump refuses to denounce white supremacy, The Hill. Trump refuses to denounce white supremacy, New York Times. Trump declines to denounce white supremacy, NPR. Joe Biden tweets, there's no other way to put it. The president of the United States refused to disavow white supremacists on the debate stage last night. And then he has a picture, by the way, among other people, of Kyle Rittenhouse in Kenosha, the guy who shot people in Kenosha, and his lawyer is planning to demand a retraction because Rittenhouse also not a white supremacist. So they lied. And that's what, but that is what everyone heard. Everyone heard Trump not saying, I denounce white supremacists, though he's done it again and again and again. And they're going to run with this. And this is one of the reasons we need Trump in the White House, because there is an empire of lies based on this racist stuff. Meanwhile, Biden asked to condemn Antifa, who are the real rioters, and nobody mentioned Black Lives Matter. Everybody's afraid to touch Black Lives Matter, but I'll touch them. They're the rioters. Black Lives Matter and Antifa are the rioters. Here's what Biden says, cut 23.
Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not malicious. That's what his FBI director said.
Well, then you know what?
No,
we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving
on to your administration. That's not an idea.
Everybody in your administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous,
all right,
radical
gentlemen,
group.
We're now moving on to the Trump and Biden records.
They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question.
Now, first of all, Antifa is an idea that happens to be running around in masks, burning cities and covering them in graffiti and terrifying people and terrorizing people at their dinners. Antifa and Black Lives Matter. So that's the kind of idea they are. They're an idea that happens to be have avatars that manifest themselves as human beings who terrorize and destroy cities. Secondly, as Trump, and he did this again and again, as Trump went after Biden completely fairly, and as he had him on the ropes, Wallace, who sucked, by the way, Wallace interrupted him, and he did it again and again. And that's shameful, and it's one of the reasons that Trump does the things he does. It's one of the reasons that it takes a guy like Trump to actually get anywhere with these people, because as Trump himself said, he's not just debating the Democrats, he's also debating Chris Wallace, who, by the way, sucked. So now remember, we're talking about reality now. And again, I said that people didn't hear the reality. They don't hear the reality. They heard the chaos. They heard the constant interruptions. And again, it's not just rude to do that. It's bad strategy. It is bad strategy not to let the guy talk, because the guy can't talk. You know, you want to let him talk. And it also makes people feel that you're just, you're just running over him with a steamroller. And yeah, you and I might like seeing that. But as Ben pointed out on the backstage last night, this was a really good point. He's not Hillary. People hate Hillary. Running over Hillary with a steamroller is kind of fun. You can back up again, you can turn around, you can make designs on her, and people are like, hey, that was good. Not so Joe Biden. Joe Biden has a reputation for being a clown, an empty-headed guy, a nice guy, but he's a nice guy. And so people don't hate him the same way. He's not very nice. And some of the stuff he said last night was genuinely grotesque. It was cut 34.
Will you shut up, man? Listen. It's hard to get any word in with this clown. He's the racist.
So he calls the president of the United States a racist, calls him a clown. Shut up, he says to him. No one covered himself in glory. On substance, Trump was better. Because you know why Trump was better on substance? Because on substance, Trump is better. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Andrew Klavan Show. If you did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you stay up to date on all our future content.